Hello, this is a tutorial on how to make a 4-key rhythm game in Geometry Dash. Now, we're going to want to set the game type to platformer, set the options to 2-player mode and dual mode. This is good so far. We're going to add these blocks so that the player can't exactly move anymore. And this can be useful if you're, say, trying to make a mod chart for the song. Now, we are going to add an options trigger. We will set these to hide player 1, hide player 2, and hide attempts. You can feel free to change some of these settings if you want, but these are ones that I kind of like so far. Now we're going to create some lanes. These are going to be where the notes will fall, which is pretty important in my opinion. Once you're done making these notes, we're going to add a guide trigger. Now, we're going to give this group ID 1 and add a static trigger that automatically locks onto it. Now, we're going to add some glow on group ID on layer 1. We're going to give this black blending on free, and we're going to give each of these glow pieces a separate color, all being black blending. Now we're going to add an event trigger. This will have left push checked and have extra ID 2 on 1 so that it only impacts player 1. We're going to make this activate group ID 2, and we're going to set a pulse trigger to be group ID 2, spawn triggered, and multi-triggered. We're going to make this pulse group channel ID free to white for 0.2 seconds. Now we copy the setup for the other pieces of glow. Also make sure that you switch to right push for this one, and also switch the group IDs, because that's pretty important. Now we switch this to be extra ID 2 and switch it back to left push. Make this toggle group ID 4 and set this to be group ID 4 and have it pulse channel 5. We will switch this back to right push again. Make it toggle group 5. Make this group 5. And have it pulse channel ID 6, and now these will pulse whenever we hit the notes and the movement stuff. Now we're going to add some collision triggers. What will these collision triggers do? Well, they'll basically be the note receptors. We'll have these each be dynamic and be a separate block ID. This is because I'm pretty sure there's a thing where if two of them are activated at once, it will only activate it once, which I know sounds strange, but you gotta be careful. We're also going to add a note here with a 5th group ID. This is going to be important for the notes. Also, do not make it dynamic. If you make it dynamic, it will constantly check for collisions and lag your game a lot. Now, we're going to give each of these collision boxes a separate group ID. This will be 6, this will be 7, this will be 8, and this will be 9. We're going to start off the level as well by automatically toggling all of them off, like this. Now, these event triggers, we're going to be using them. We're going to add a toggle on trigger which is also going to have group ID 2. Spawn trigger, multi-trigger, activate. This will activate group ID 6. We add a spawn trigger with the group ID 2 and have it activate a new group, in this case 10, with a delay of 0.1. Make sure this is spawn triggered, otherwise it may break. We are going to add a toggle off trigger with group ID 10 that toggles off group 6 and a spawn triggered, multi-triggered. So now the collision box automatically goes off. We're going to copy the setup for each of these groups and with the collision boxes. Assuming you've done things correctly, the collision boxes should be like this. Now, we're going to add some collision triggers. But before we do that, we're going to make these notes move down by giving them group ID 14, making a move trigger that moves them down 80,000 blocks over the course of 1,000 seconds. Feel free to change this if it doesn't quite match what you want. So, yeah. We're going to add a score counter, which is going to be, important, with an item ID of 1. Now for the collision triggers. We're going to make it so that when block ID A collides with block ID B, which is going to be 5, it's going to activate group 15. We copy this setup for, if you can even call it a setup, for each collision box on the bottom. Group 15 will give you 500 points on item ID 1, spawn trigger, multi-trigger. Great, we hit a note, it gives a score. Though there's still something that's a problem. You can hit as many, you can just spam and you won't lose any points. To fix this, we're going to add another pickup trigger with group IDs 2, 3, 4, and 5. That will also go to item ID 1 and go down negative 250. So this makes it so that every time you press, you lose 250 points. Meaning if you gain more score than that when you hit a note, it will be good. But if you just spam, it's not happening. Now, that should be about everything covered. If you want a second video with hold notes and judgments, well, I don't know if I can make that because it might take too long and it's just generally more difficult. But, yeah. See you all next time.